everybody come and see. I say come and hear, I don't carry and come. Better information, superb advertisement, we no get the rival. Oh, to get update and get informed, oh, come to Celestial Half Hour. Celestial Half Hour TV, now we be the best information carrier.
First time, Afe Babalola has written to the relevant authorities to withdraw Dele Farotimi's license to practice law in Nigeria. As he explains in this interview with Shehu of Channels TV, how he did it the first time and how he fought back, let's take a listen.
In writing the letter that he wrote to the then Chief Justice of Lagos State, Ayomide Philip, he libeled me. He suggested that I should be derobed, that what I had done was deserving of sanction and I should have been struck off the bar. And when I saw this, knowing what I already knew of what he did, I wrote a letter asking that he should withdraw that letter that he had written that was libelous of me. And he declined. Arrogantly so, he declined. And I sued him for libel.
Having won the first time, now he's doing it again. The 90-page petition was submitted to the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee by a partner to Afe Babalola's law firm by name Ola Faro. They are claiming that Dele Farotimi criminally defamed them and their law firm in his book, Nigeria and Its Criminal Justice System, that he was engaged in unethical conduct unbecoming of a lawyer. As such, he should be stopped from practicing law in Nigeria. Part of the petition reads, quote, "The respondent participated in conduct that he believes to be unlawful by bribing judicial officers and having unlawful access to a judicial officer. He joined his clients in committing misconduct and breach of law with reference to judicial officers by having unlawful access to a judicial officer. He gave service to his client, which he knows is capable of causing a breach of law and disrespect and corrupting a judicial officer. Knowingly made false statements of law and facts in respect to a case already decided by the Supreme Court. Assisted his clients in a conduct that he knows to be illegal and fraudulent. Failed to observe good faith and fairness in dealing with other lawyers in respect to a case already decided by the Supreme Court. Conducted himself in a manner that obstructed, delayed, and adversely affected the administration of justice by taking steps to frustrate a decision of the Supreme Court for his personal benefit and benefit of his client who lost at the Supreme Court. Knowingly engaged in illegal conduct in the course of his practice as a legal practitioner. Treated his fellow lawyers without respect, fairness, consideration, and dignity, allowing ill feeling between opposing clients to influence his conduct and demeanor by distorting the facts of a case in the course of his practice as a legal practitioner. Treated the court, particularly the Supreme Court, without respect, dignity, and honor by his uncouth, unprofessional, undignified, and an offensive language against the Supreme Court and the justices of the Supreme Court. Made defamatory statements against judicial officers rather than making a complaint to appropriate authorities. Indicated that he discussed a pending case with a judge trying the case in the absence of an opposing lawyer, unquote.
Welcome to Proxy Cheap. Here you can find all the proxies you need. If you want
Of an opposing lawyer, unquote. They are really fighting very hard against Dele Farotimi. They are targeting his finances, his reputation, his very existence. Although it's been long he stopped practicing law, but he's still a member of the bar. He worked hard for it. To deny him that membership seems very odd. Not all lawyers are practicing lawyers. Not all of them take briefs from clients to represent them in court, but they are still members of the bar. And to think that someone would, in the wildest imagination, want to deny them that right tells you all you need to know about how hard they are fighting Dele Farotimi. They want to delegitimize him by all means. If he stops being a lawyer, if he loses his license, They will start making references to him as if he is a common criminal. One of his greatest cover today is that NBA is backing him. He's their member. So if he has problems, even legal representation, they will provide one for him. He will lose all that if he stops being a licensed lawyer in Nigeria. So you can understand how hard and the angle they are coming from. This resonates in the way they conducted the affairs so far, the way they used the police to abduct him all the way from Lagos to Ekiti State, handcuffed him while going to court and all that. You can only do that to a common criminal. But Dele Farotimi right now is still innocent until proven guilty of criminal defamation, cyber crimes, or anything they want to charge him. Now, this brings us to the court cases they filed against Dele Farotimi and the way they are playing out. Dele Farotimi actually wrote this in his book, something like Justice for the Rich and Judgment for the Poor in Nigeria's judicial system. So they are not interested in following up the civil defamation suits they filed. They are only interested in the motions and injunctions they get from the courts, like the one they filed in Abuja High Court. After filing, they immediately got an injunction from the court. That injunction ordered the DSS and the police to confiscate all the books, all Dele Farotimi's books, from many bookstores in Nigeria. Also, they have to remit the royalties to them instead of Dele Farotimi. Of course, all the money made from the book, he has already donated it to a charity home. But this injunction strictly orders them to remit the money to Afe Babalola's law firm. Like already said, they are not interested in following up the case. They will abandon the civil defamation suit. They are only interested in the motion. Just like the police arrest people, take them to court, the charges they file against the people are just to detain them. Like they filed criminal defamation against Dele Farotimi, a law that no longer exists in Ekiti State. The magistrate court doesn't have jurisdiction. Despite all this, they accepted the case, remanded him in prison. So the essence of charging him to the magistrate court is just to detain him. Let people understand this. And the essence of filing the Abuja High Court civil defamation suit is just to obtain the motions and injunctions, seizing his assets and his money. People need to realize what is going on here. You can be sleeping quietly in your home, minding your business, and someone will go to court, present affidavits, present all sorts of documents, whether they are forged or not. The court wouldn't even verify them, and they will ask for a motion seizing your asset or an injunction, something like that. And the court will grant it without even calling you, inviting you to hear from you. This is very, very dangerous, and it is playing out the way Dele Farotimi wrote it in the book. They will bring someone, you will not even ask question. What did this person do? What are you actually charging him for? They don't demand all this. Once they are told we are bringing this person, they will just hit the gavel and condemn the person. That's why Nigerian prisons are filled with awaiting trial inmates, much higher than condemned criminals. And some of these inmates are actually innocent. The police will just pick some of them up in the streets. People minding their business or going home from work, police will pick them up, take them to their station and detain them, expecting that they will pay enough bail money to be able to secure their bail. When they fail to do that, the police sometimes charge them to court. They will just come up with any crime and charge them. That will be the end. For the fact that the people couldn't pay for their liberty, they will end up in prison. And when the adjourned date comes and they don't have a legal representative, that's how people spend years in prison in Nigeria for no reason, for a crime they didn't commit. So this is prevalent. It's not as if Dele Farotimi is making this up. It happens. Nigerians are aware that it happens. It's just that he mentioned Afe Babalola's name and other lawyers. They are now saying, no, I have to defend myself. Okay, if you have to defend yourself, why not allow the court process to go on? Why not allow the civil defamation case to go on so that Dele Farotimi can defend himself, so that he can bring that evidence that he has that made him to write it in a book? Yes, he has already said it many times that no one should come and beg on his behalf. If people, all the principalities like he likes to call it, if they come for him, that no one should beg on his behalf, that he will defend them. He still trusts the judiciary. So the question remains, why don't they want the court process to play out? so that he can tender the evidence for all the people saying that Dele must prove all his allegations. Why are the courts and the people involved not giving him the opportunity to defend himself, to prove all his allegations, to prove that he never defamed anyone? Anyway, we know what they are doing. They are trying to silence him. They are trying to silence him while claiming that they were defamed. If you were truly defamed, why not allow the courts to decide whether it is truly defamation? Now, let's end with the warning by NBA President to the Nigerian government to stop bribing and humiliating judicial officers, that all projects donated to the judiciary by the executive branch should not happen in a normal society, that if they have projects they want to execute, everything must be added in the national budget, and when the budget is passed, the judicial branch will execute their own projects by themselves, not executive branch executing projects and donating it to the judicial officers as if they are under them. This is open bribery. Let's take a listen.
In any situation where a governor gathers judges or brings a chief judge or any person whatsoever to display to the public that he's giving them cars as if he's doing them a favor, as if he's being very magnanimous and generous in giving them cars, it is condemnable. That is building courtrooms or quarters for them. It is unconstitutional, is demeaning, and it takes away from the independence of the judiciary. If the judiciary needs cars, if the judiciary needs houses for the judicial officers, if they need courtrooms, if they need anything, it should be put in the budget of the judiciary, and the judiciary should be able to manage the budget meant for them and acquire those things. No member of the executive should do that for them.
Take laws of the Criminal Code Act and the Penal Code Act that were enacted probably before I was born. You see the sections, maybe section 373 of the Criminal Code Act that governs the Southern region, and maybe section 391 of the Penal Code Act. You see traces of criminalizing defamation. However, some states, knowing that some of those provisions were part of what we inherited from the colonial masters, who wanted to shield themselves from the painful hands of the freedom fighters, they now criminalized anybody that will bring their actions to disrepute. And that was the reason for all this defamation, purported as a criminal offense. But when nations saw that criminalizing defamation may stifle free speech, because if you go to the Constitution, section 39, freedom of expression is generously couched to say a man has the right to receive idea and information and has the right to express it the way he deems fit without undue interference. So because of the fear that when you criminalize defamation, it could impinge on the freedom of people to express themselves freely. Because the greatest secret of the success in a democracy is accountability and transparency. So when people are allowed to express themselves freely, they hold the government in power accountable, and the government will become transparent. And that is why they made copious provisions in civil proceeding for any human being that is claiming he's defamed to pursue the civil remedies. So the question now is this: why is Afe Babalola pursuing the criminal remedies? Why don't he pursue the civil remedies? In the civil remedies, the two parties will bring their reasons why they made the comment, and an independent and impartial judge will look at them dispassionately and reach a judgment. In a criminal proceeding, it is no longer an offense against Afe Babalola. It's an offense against the state. And the burden of proof is no longer on Farotimi. The burden of proof is now on the state, and they need to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. Farotimi has the right to remain silent until after the trial without saying anything. So taking him to a criminal court, where even in the modern law of Ekiti State, they have jettisoned defamation. I want to presume in their state laws as a crime. Lagos has jettisoned it. Now, I was worried about the statement from Afe Babalola chambers that if Farotimi can prove himself, he will be released. That has actually portrayed them as colluding with the security agencies because it is not in their power to release. So confessing that if Farotimi says this, he will be released, is trying to say that they are in collusion with the security agency, that they have the power to detain him and release him. That's the implication. Confirming our fears that this is an intimidation. Why arrest Farotimi before you conclude your investigation? The Supreme Court has made it clear. You don't arrest a man and run around for investigation. You would have concluded your investigation, then you will arraign him in court. Then why go to court to get a remand order to remand him in prison? You just want to intimidate him and punish him unheard. They were saying that they've invited him to come and he didn't come, and that was why the remand order. Excuse me, before that time, Farotimi granted a press interview that, look, he's hearing, that they know where to get him. They know where to serve him any paper. Meaning he is actually owning up publicly that he has not received any summon or any paper. He said there is a conspiracy, and he said no Nigerian should cry for his freedom, that all Nigerians should insist that they should take him to court. Now, in America, by way of comparative analysis, people are even allowed to make a plea from their house. They will send you the charges, and you would state in writing whether you're pleading guilty or not. And if you say you're not guilty, then they will tell you the day you present yourself to court for the commencement of the trial. So a man, you know where he's staying, who does not go to London or America and be tweeting from there like some cowards do. But he has been in Nigeria and told you he's not going to anywhere, and you know where he is. Have you served him any paper personally? If you have, what's the evidence? What they would have done is, if they've been serving him, because there has to be personal service, if he has been rejecting it or avoiding it, you make it public. I did not see any public declaration by the police or any security agency that they have been serving him and he has not been honoring it. Remember Yahaya Bello? EFCC made all the arrest attempts and all the going to court public before they even served a bench warrant. Did you hear that in Farotimi's case? So I suspect conspiracy. And then the Afe Babalola chamber confirmed when they say, if he proves the allegation, in criminal proceeding, it is the prosecutor that will prove all the allegations beyond reasonable doubt. So if they wanted Farotimi to prove whether what he's saying is true or not, they would have gone through the civil proceeding, where they will now allege defamation, and Farotimi would justify that it is not defamation, that it is the truth. They are the facts. And then they did not go through that procedure, and that is what is making us to conclude reasonably that that is an attempt to intimidate, to frustrate and manipulate Nigerians and punish Farotimi for his political stand on issues without giving him fair hearing. He said he's a victim of Nigeria. I agree with him. So what they would have done is that they would have filed the charges publicly, told Farotimi, come and defend yourself. He comes to court the day, on the day, defends himself, and then the court will decide. Why remand him? Anytime you start remanding anybody, you've already started punishing him. And nobody has any power to punish anybody except the law court. And every law court is expected to act judiciously and judicially. That remand order is unjust and is calculated to punish without fair hearing. So, I take Afe Babalola chamber through the confession of the chamber that Farotimi, if Farotimi proves himself, he will be released. They have just confirmed our fears that there is a collusion based on that statement between them and the security agencies to punish Farotimi for his stand on issues. And of course, the security agencies are under President Tinubu. President Tinubu, you remember, ordered the release of those children that were illegally detained. So he ought to have immediately ordered the release of Farotimi so that it does not portray his government as using the security agencies to intimidate political opponents. Because that's where I will conclude it on. Because he's a political opponent. And worldwide, anything you do to a political opponent, the people of the world have the right to interpret it that you want to intimidate a political opponent. If you ask me, I would say I believe that this is still an intimidation of political opponents, and they should desist from it. Release Farotimi unconditionally and allow him to have his day in court if they believe that he committed any offense, based on archaic, outdated, purported defamation offense, which is no longer existing in the books of some of the advanced states in Nigeria that do not want to impinge free speech, like Lagos. So it's just a ruse. He's just a victim of Nigeria, as all of us.
Start, with your thoughts on the comments made by General Yakubu Gowon that the Nigerian Civil War was fought to keep the country together and that it was not really about defeating any part of the country. What do you make about this? What do you make over this?
Well, first of all, we must understand that war in itself is a display of anarchy. When you talk about war, that is lawlessness at its peak. So when you say you are fighting war to keep Nigeria one, no. You fought the war as a manifestation of your incompetence in the management of the crisis that was then part of Nigerian history. And let me explain what I mean. Before independence, the colonial power, Britain, they kind of brainwashed the Nigerian people to maintain their ethnic cleavages, and they needed to make Nigerians live in that disunity so that they could continue their colonization against Nigeria. So they made the North, for instance, to believe that being educationally disadvantaged, they should not rush into independence because of the likelihood that they will be dominated by the more advanced southern Nigeria. And the North bought into that. And that was why we were delayed from 1954 to 1960. But the actual thing is that Britain just wanted more time to dominate Nigeria. So after independence, that mindset that the South is likely to dominate them remained. And the North was always at every slightest chance, reminding the South that we did not intend to be one country with you because we are suspecting your domination. But the 1966 military coup, pure military coup, has nothing to do with ethnicity or anything. Even though people who organized it were predominantly from one ethnic group. But that reinforced the belief by the North that these people, we said it, they want to dominate us. And then they carried out a revenge coup in 1966 July, which was meant actually to separate from Nigeria, not to keep Nigeria one. But the Britain also reminded them that the resources are in the East. So if you leave Nigeria, we are going to support the East. So you better run down that you have acquired power to maintain Nigeria as one. And that made them to have a rethink. And by that time, a lot of Igbos, for instance, have been killed during the pogrom, during the massacre. So there was an entrenched suspicion between the ethnic groups. And this led them to go to Aburi for a conference, and they reached agreement. And it was still Gowon who came back and reneged on the agreement, which inevitably led to the bitter war. And after the war, Gowon declared again, no victor, no vanquished, and promised to reconcile, rehabilitate, and reconstruct the Southeast, which he failed again to do. So all the available opportunities for him to make Nigeria one and consolidate that unity, he was not able to do. But let us make one point clear, that after a while, when he himself was thrown away by some of those his colleagues, that was when maybe he recognized that what happened in 1966 was a military coup and not any ethnic coup, because he himself was thrown away by the same military people. I wonder which terminology we use to describe the ones who threw him away. But one thing is clear. After that, it looks as if he went into theology, had a rebirth, and he came back and genuinely went through our Southeast apologizing and asking for forgiveness for his role in the Civil War. And we know that though the Southeast has been marginalized and ill-treated in that war, which was not caused by them, we know that Gowon has tried to make certain types of penance. We should forgive each other because hostilities need not last forever. So I can submit respectfully that ethnic chauvinism, the youthful exuberance of the military young chaps that took over government, who were actually very impressionable at that age, their inability to manage the crisis contributed in the disunity that resulted in the Civil War. We must learn to forget and to forgive so that we will move ahead as one united Nigeria. I remember what Ojukwu said when he came back from exile. He said, we had fought one civil war. We don't need to fight another one. But he is going to go to war to fight if Nigeria is ever threatened again. And I stand by that. Nigeria being the hope of the black man. Nigeria being the hope of Africa. Nigeria being blessed, and in our enlightened self-interest, the capabilities and blessings of Nigeria will be better harnessed if we come together, live together under one united Nigeria. Nigeria based on equity, unity, peace, and justice. Nigeria will achieve its aims. I support the opinion that we should move ahead now as one united Nigeria, and I'm willing to fight if Nigeria is threatened. Let me point out that presently in Nigeria, what is causing disunity is no longer ethnic chauvinism and religious fanaticism. It is now the incompetence and corruption of the leaders of Nigeria that have inflicted hunger, hardship, degradation, deprivation on the citizens, making them too poor. And when you're poor, even to adhere to theology is very difficult, because there's no reception to theology when a man is hungry. An angry man is the hungry man. A hungry man is an angry man, and is easily irritated no matter what. So the threat to our unity today is poverty, which is orchestrated by the incompetence and corruption of the ruling class. World Bank report just gave a report that more than 129 million Nigerians are poor. And fuel price is now 1,200 naira per liter, unsustainable. And naira has been depreciated to the point that you have 1,700 and something naira per dollar. And you can see electricity In 1 week, we have celebrated more than 3 national grid collapse. And some people are still pretending that they are the leaders of Nigeria. No, they are leaders of darkness, not leaders of light. And they are now the greatest source of our disunity. And let me point out, free and fair election is the only solution to our disunity now. Because if we have the ability to choose our leaders in a free, fair, credible, verifiable, periodic election, then we will say that our will be imposed on the leadership of Nigeria, and they will give us the dividends of democracy. Anything short of that is going to threaten the existence of this country, not because of ethnic chauvinism or religious fanaticism, but because you cannot sustain a diverse people living together in abject poverty.
Mr. Okonkwo, permit me to come in on this point. And I like your oratory prowess when articulating what Nigeria should be as a unified entity. But if that is the case, why is it that Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, someone you know very well, is being almost forced to explain his congratulatory message to General Gowon? Because the likes of Simon Ekpa and several others are saying because he's desperate for power, he's beginning to cower. Some are saying that he's desperate to become president, so he's now going soft and he's trying to belong. Hence, he's doing what he's doing, and he's trying to explain the reason why. That's to show that probably we do not see ourselves as one.
I like it. It's mine. The prices blow my mind.
Well, let me say that all the protests, all the agitations you're seeing Nigerian over, like I said, they are results of manifestation of marginal. 129 million Nigerians are poor. And for
Point.
You should not be, a fair weather kind of leader that when they push you this side, you will explain. When they push you this side, you will explain. You should be able to articulate your view at any point and stand by it. However, like I said, no human being is infallible. He does not need to explain if he is sure what he's saying, that he believes in it. But if he needed to explain and he explained, then you should hold him responsible for his own actions and for his own words. Let me tell you something. I believe in unity of Nigeria. I believe General Gowon made a whole lot of mistakes because he himself prevaricated on a lot of things that would have prevented the war, even when they were by his own initiation. And so when you say Peter Obi made a statement and then he's clarifying, there's nothing wrong in clarification. However, there is a need to always be sensitive and then be sure of the statement you want to make so that you don't begin to want to pander on all sides. I've always said it is good to stand on one side and then whatever consequences it is, then you take it. I don't have anything against anybody saying anything. It's a free word, freedom of expression, but you should be able to stand by your word. I don't think it has anything to do with the unity of Nigeria, because what Nigerians are looking out for now, like I said, is competent leaders of capacity. So if he expressed his opinion and withdrew it or modified it, that is his right to do, and he's entitled to it.
Now, Mr. Okonkwo, you said earlier, that the factors dividing Nigeria is not ethnic or religious affiliated, but you said corruption and bad leadership. Yep. However, some analysts, believe politicians usually use the divide and rule tactic. They use ethnicity, they use religion, to divide Nigerians in order to win election, like we witnessed in 2023. So how can Nigerians, as a people, how can the electorate rise above this very common gimmick?
Very good. Now, let me first of all agree with you that part of the incompetence of these leaders is having no policies to use to convince the people. They resort to such primordial sentiments. And that's why I'm saying that it is no longer part of our problem. Why am I saying that? The present president threw up all the ethnic cards, a Miloko, and I don't know how to speak all this, so let me not speak the one that will nail me here. But I always hear of Yoruba Ronu, I don't even know what it means. However, after doing all those things, he lost his state. After saying Muslim ticket, he did not even impress anybody. He still had the least votes as in relative to the opposition. So they exploit that tendency, but Nigerians have outgrown that. They win by rigging. They win by electoral violence, manipulation, and corruption. They don't win anymore by ethnic sentiments and religious fanaticism. That's what I'm saying. That the problem we have now is that their corruption of not being able to organize free and fair election, abuse of public power for private gain. It is no longer ethnic. I mean, you can't go to the north and tell a northerner now that you're a Muslim and he should vote for you because you're a Muslim. After what he is suffering now under a Muslim ticket, you can't go to anybody in the south, in the southwest, and say, vote for me because I'm from southwest. That is where the Abing power came. So I agree with you that some of these leaders, because they don't have anything, any policy to show to the people, they try to exploit such primordial sentiments. But they are fading away, even as these incompetent and corrupt leaders are fading away out of the hemisphere of Nigeria. Nigerians must rise in the interest of a united Nigeria, for the sake of the black man, for the sake of Africa, and for the sake of all of us, knowing that our diversity is our strength, knowing that united we stand, knowing that we will achieve economy of scale if we are together. Let me give you an example. If this country is divided into 6, what it means is that each of those 6 must have their own army, air force, navy, police, differently, meaning it will cost us 6 times to govern Nigeria what is costing us now once. Do you think the British, they are not wise when they amalgamated the South and the North? They did not tell us that the reason is so that they will achieve lesser cost of governance. And it has nothing to do with trying to make us to live together. We should take advantage of that. Take advantage of economy of scale. Take advantage that when we live together under rule of law, there is no challenge we will not overcome. We are building a more progressive and perfect union as we go on. It is a process. It's not an incident. Building a more perfect union. Even United States, they are still progressing in building their union. So whatever challenges we have, every Nigerian should know that it's surmountable and should not always be thinking about dividing Nigeria and separating Nigeria. We are a united nation, indissoluble and indissolvable under God. And we should move on in that capacity.
Do some Igbos share this sentiment will be the big question. Because for those who went through the war and those who were told about the war, maybe the Generation X might not be able to relate. But when you talk to every Igbo trader in Nigeria, maybe in Lagos, for example, and you talk to probably upwardly mobile Igbo men in their 50s, their 60s, they do not share the sentiment because hence we have people that are sympathetic to the causes of Nnamdi Kanu, apologies for the likes of Simon Ekpa. They still have a lot of cult following. Talk to us about it, because when you speak like this, you seem to almost ignore the fact that when you look to your left, you look to your right, there are people that still believe that they have been wronged, and that one day, they will still go to utopia.
Good. Now, first of all, I am a Nigerian from Igbo extraction, and I'm very proud of that. You just said we are traders. Yes, we are traders and we are travelers. And so always there will have to be a preference between, for a larger space for anybody who by nature and nurture is a traveler and is a trader. And so in our enlightened interest, I know it as a fact that we will prefer a larger space because our nature demands that. Our nurture demands that. In Igbo land, there is a proverb. And again, in Igbo land, there is a proverb that and again, so these are the things that will make an Igbo man to travel out of his comfort zone, no matter how comfortable he is. And having that nature, I am telling you, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe preferred a united Nigeria. Ojukwu preferred a united Nigeria. Kenneth Okonkwo preferred a united Nigeria. Because I know, as a matter of fact, that as a trader and as a traveler, by nature, it will be better for us as Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo are agents of development, and they go about carrying development to anywhere they go to. I recall what Buba Mawa said when we were in a presidential campaign. Buba Mawa stood on a pulpit and said, the only true Nigerians who believe in Nigeria, they are Ndi Igbo, because everywhere you will see them. And when you see them, they build their homes there, and they live there and develop there. It was quite unfortunate that before 1966, our quest for developing anywhere we stay was manipulated and misconstrued to be a quest for domination. I am happy it's no longer in the minds of Nigerians to think in that pattern and in that formula. Because I remember one old man from Kanu. He said during the June 12th, when the Igbos left north, he couldn't find a part, I think Yakasai, he couldn't find one spare part he needed to repair his car. And he said, let's face it, we need each other. In this country, we need each other, especially in the Igbo, who are the agents of development. I told you before that what is threatening our unity now is the incompetence and corruption. What is happening in Lagos? Why are Igbos feeling uncomfortable? Because there are some people like Bayo Nonuga who will tell you Igbos are aliens in Lagos. Can you imagine? Aliens in Yoruba land. Somebody being an alien in his own country. Is that not the incompetence and corruption I'm talking about? Abuse of public power for private gain. If you cannot convince the Yorubas to vote for you when you are a Yoruba man, you have failed. If you need to vilify another ethnic group, these are the things that are bringing about the sentiments of marginalization and the instigation of people saying, let us have our own home if you cannot guarantee our safety in the general Nigerian country. And this is what I'm saying, that we must sit down to ensure that our country is built on equity, justice, and fairness. And you will see that every Nigerian will prefer to be a Nigerian. I am a movie actor. That's my primary constituency. Where we started Nollywood was in Lagos. And you know what? It was an Igbo film that was shot in Lagos. And the whole Nigerians accepted it. If they had anything against Ndi Igbo, they would not appreciate that movie, Living in Bondage. And that's actually remade my mind that, look, nobody is interested in marginalizing anybody. Spirit of excellence cannot be rejected, no matter where it comes from and from whoever it comes from. Well, so we must learn to be excellent in this country, excellent in leadership, excellent in whatever we do, so that we will be acceptable by everybody we are living with. Togetherness, it shall be the key, and one Nigeria should be supported. It's worth living for, and if need be, it's worth dying for.
It's been a very interesting time, speaking with you on Newsday. We do appreciate you honoring our invitation today. Kenneth Okonkwo, a lawyer and politician, thank you so much for joining us.
Everybody come and see. As they come and hear, I don't carry and come. Better information, superb advertisement. We no get it right far. Oh, to get update and get informed. Oh, come to Celestia Half Hour. Celestia Half Hour TV. Now we be the best information carrier.